Welcome back, folks. Now, following yesterday's status quo video, I thought that I could use a better record keeping of all the leaked vehicles on the Supertest server, so I decided to make a spreadsheet detailing the status of these vehicles. It turns out there are a lot of them, and half of them were from last year. So they were leaked last year, and they're still in development hell. So they're in limbo, and we do not know what will become of them. So their fate is unknown. It's surprising, and there's a lot of them. So, yep, spent the whole day detailing the whole status of these vehicles. So let's quickly go over these surprisingly special vehicles that's not seen yet. So sometime soon in the holiday season, you might see a T25 Pilot number 1 popping out of nowhere. So this vehicle is leaked, but it takes like 7 months to release. So yeah, we'll cover everything with this video. So let's get started with the 121B. This was leaked in April of last year, but it's still missing from all the servers. It was originally thought to be only Chinese server exclusive, like the 59 patent, the Type 59 patent with the hybrid patent turret on the Type 59. Ew. So yeah, what the hell became of this vehicle? But there are rumors of this vehicle becoming the next Clan Wars special reward. So it's like the T95 E6, the Object 907, the patent, the M60 patent, and the VK7201K. So this is likely rumored to be Clan Wars related vehicle for this holiday season. So okay, next up is the Samua SM. So this was just leaked in about 4 months from now, almost. So it is basically a premium AMX 5100-ish. So it's a competing design to replace the AMX 50 or compete against the AMX 50. It looks a lot like the Panther with the oscillating turret. Yeah. Stats wise, I did not cover this vehicle with a leak episode. I was planning to do one, but made this list for today, and yeah, stuff happened. But this vehicle is somewhat mediocre of an autoloader, has 1 round less than the AMX 5100, and takes like 3.5 or 3.75 seconds between each shell. So very mediocre. Should be around the holidays, so this thing should be popping in and out of the holiday shopping season, I guess. Next up is the AMX M4 Auto 1949. Now, this vehicle was leaked last year, but they nerfed the crap out of it since last year. So they nerfed the DPM, they nerfed the mobility, armor remains pretty decent, but other stats are pretty much nerfed. So it's a French T34 at tier 8. So still likely to be released around the holidays. Now, next up is the Krupp Steyr Waffenträger. This was leaked, freaking February of last year, so almost 2 years now. It's basically a Romtel Borsig of tier 7. Has the 88mm L71, so it's a pretty decent gun for a tier 7 tank destroyer, but it's not that fast. Has like 10 horsepower per ton ratio. And yeah, the stats are alright, but it's recently been adjusted. So these vehicles will likely come out before the New Year's. So holiday shopping, always the big sale of new vehicles. So following the trend of last year, we got the Panzer 58 Mutz, the Pan KR, IS-3A, whole bunch of stuff. So we're likely going to see these vehicles coming soon. Next up is the VK6501H, so the ultimate dingus wagon, douche wagon. I covered this vehicle. It got recently buffed, but it's still, in the works. It's relatively new, compared to the last year ones, so meh. And up is the VK4502P OSB 7. So this is the historically correct version of the tier 9 German heavy tank, the rear mounted VK, and it's like a VK4503H except with the turret on the back. The armor is about the same with the 88mm L71, so it's undetermined that if this vehicle is going to be premium or if it's going to be a new line of German heavy tanks leading up to the Mouse. So it's a separate mini branch with the Mammut coming right up. So the VK101P, the Mammut, the Mammoth. So it's very fair. It's like a Mouse of tier 8. So the armor is very good, but not crazy good. So it's very workable. Has a 128mm gun, though. It's a Yak Tiger's gun. Now we saw the AMX 65T, which has a 120mm on a tier 8 as well. So this will likely come with the AMX 65T, but it's a tier 8 with a very big gun for a heavy tank. So very exciting too. Now this was leaked last year, but nothing came out of it. Next up is the Type 98 Kenni Otsu. My Japanese sucks, so whatever. Now, this vehicle is exclusive on the Blitz version of World of Tanks. It is found in the game files for the PC version, but nobody has a copy of it. It's likely going to be only press accounts and testers, so nobody has this vehicle whatsoever. Next up is the Landsberg L60. Now, this vehicle was recently released and should come as the New Year's gift for this year, I'm guessing, and it does appear to be rumored as well. So it's the only premium tier 2 outside of the Polish that's suitable for the New Year's gift slot. So, meh. Oh boy, this thing. The Chieftain. So this tank was leaked last year. It's stuck in rebalancing fiasco hell. So balancing hell, and it was recently tested on the EU server, so there were appearances of this vehicle, but switch the FE215B or not, I mean, come on guys. You already switched the FE4202, just switch this thing. I mean, put it as separate tier 10, that also works from the Conqueror, but oh man, come on. Next up is the T95/Chieftain. So this is the T95's hull with the Chieftain's turret. It's also a heavy tank, and yet this thing is special because it's slightly better than the actual Chieftain tank because the hull is betterly armored. Betterly? That's not a word. Whatever. So it has a little bit better armor than the Chieftain, but it's not as accurate and not as good with the DPM. But otherwise, still very fair. Now, it's a heavy tank. I thought it was medium, but it's a heavy. So, yeah, we are going to cover the T92 light tank. I was going to do the leaked video for today, but made this page instead. So, it's amazingly OP. Has better camo than the AMX 1375 at the same tier. And it has a single shot with great DPM, accuracy, shooting on the move, traverse, top speed, and terrain resistance, and view range. So, this vehicle will likely be either personal mission based or maybe the next year's Grand Finals, Wargaming League Grand Finals around April. So it's like the Leckpanzer M41 Bulldog, the Black Bulldog, or the AMX 1357. So there are no normal premium light tanks outside of the Type 62 or the Type 64, but those vehicles are old and they are not really relevant to the premium light tanks. So Wargaming does not usually produce premium lights because premium light tanks are light tanks. They have light tank matchmaking, and if you do not know how to play light tanks, which does have a high learning curve, you will not like it. So you'll probably get a refund. So that's the case with premium light tanks, but this vehicle is very good. It's amazing. So we'll see, but if it's going to be the Grand League, Grand Finals, World of Tanks League, whatever you call it thing, promo tank, it probably will come with a logo stuck to it. So you need a skin mod or something to erase the logo, which a lot of players are doing for the AMX in the Black Bulldog. So next up is not to be outshadowed, but the T71 CMCD. So this is the Cadillac's version of the T71 project, opposed to the Detroit Arsenal version, which is the default normal T71 in the game. So it's like the T92, except it has less camo, slightly less DPM, and slightly worse top speed. But that's it. So these two light tanks are very good, though the T92 is a little bit better. So it's still more fair than the T92. The T92 is blazingly OP. So blatantly and blazingly OP. This vehicle is OP, but not as crazy. So it could be the next Grand Finals promo tank as well. Next up is the T25, pilot number 1. So this is basically fair and boring, like another patent KR. So it's likely going to appear this year for Christmas or for the holidays. So very likely, but whatever. It's fair. It's boring. Next up is the hybrid M48A2 with the T54E2's conventional turret. So the single shot, it has a bigger gun, the 120mm, same gun that's on the T95 E6. So the recent Clan Wars special gift, but it looks a lot better than the T95 E6 in my honest opinion, because the hull is from the patent, which doesn't look like a flat, pancake of a hull. So I like this hull a little bit better. The turret is more streamlined and oval shape, lozenge shape, than the bulky circle shape of the T95 E6. So cosmetically, it looks pretty decent. Next up is the Object 244. So this is basically a prototype IS-1 at tier 6 with the 85mm. This vehicle was leaked in February of last year, so almost 2 years ago, but I thought this vehicle was going to be given to players who play World of Tanks for 5 years plus, with the anniversary that happened like 4 months ago or 5 months ago, but nope. So it's stuck in limbo. It's stuck in development hell for a long time. Nobody knows what the hell is going on, so whatever. Next up is the T44, 85s, and 122s. And these vehicles are ancient artifacts found in the game files. They existed pre 8.0, so they're pretty old, I think. And these vehicles are mostly for the press accounts and testers, so you have no access, so whatever. Same goes for the 122mm version, and these are tier 7, so guns handling is not that great for the 122, and alpha is not that great for the 85. So meh. The ISU 130 is basically 130mm on the ISU 122S. It's press only or moderator only, so press accounts and testers, whatever. Next up is the infamous KV4 KTTS. Now this vehicle is super OP, initially reviewed last year, but it's stuck in development or rebalancing hell because it's too OP. Might be super OP, but yeah, it's pretty OP. So they're balancing it. Nothing is known about it. So, oh well. Next up is Curavets 1. So this is the IS-3 prototype with somewhat more similar to the IS-6 shaped hull, but it's basically a Russian 112. It's preceding the 112, but looks a lot like it. Now, it is currently being shelved, confirmed by Murazer, whatever, but he is the lead balancing designer in Minsk for wargaming. So this vehicle is shelved alongside with the Object 777 version number 2. So this is the ultimate pancake that I reviewed last year, and it has like 90 degrees of gun depression the first time I reviewed it. So it's obviously changed, but this vehicle has been shelved. So next up is the Object 268 version number 5. So this is the IS-8 or T10 with 152mm gun on it. So the DPM is crap. It's basically a tier 10 T30 with the IS-8 or T10's hull, but DPM is crap. Gun handling is also crap. It's also not that fast. So it's in the tier 10 reserve pool, but it's not that interesting. And finally, we have the Object 257. So this is the brother to the 258 and 259, and preceding to 260. So in layman's term, this is basically a T22 mixed with Object 260. Just, oh my god. So super OP. Now these vehicles are in these 23 vehicles, 23, 24 vehicles are in the game's files. You have been downloading these vehicles into your client since every patch, since when they released. So you already have these vehicles, but they're not out yet. So technically they're not leaked. But here are the vehicles that are in data form only. So you do not have the data of these vehicles, nor the collision models and any other stuff. So the first one is the TKS, the Tankette from the Polish. So this was leaked around Christmas of last year, and we all thought that the Polish are coming rather than the Swedes. Surprisingly, right? But the Polish did not stay, so these were postponed. So funny enough, but same goes for the BBT BR Pank. So this is basically a Polish version of a multi-turret medium tank. So it looks a lot like T-28, the Russian T-28. So very funky, likely tier 4, but postponed because the Polish are not coming. Rather, the Swedes are coming. So funny enough. Now I already covered the AMX 65T, so it's pretty OP with 120 millimeter on a tier 8 with turret armor and somewhat decent mobility. So it's going to be a normal tank rather than a questionable normal tank like the Mammut, but I want to see the tier 9 version. Oh well. Next up is the Sherman Jumbo, Sam. It's the Pershing Jumbo, the Jumbo Pershing, the T26E5. So this is a up armor version of a Pershing, similar to up armor version of a Sherman, called the Jumbo Sherman. So this was leaked pretty recently, so it's going to take rather like half a year, at least in my honest opinion, for this vehicle to actually appear on the test server. So it's just released, man. I have no time to do the leak videos. So next up is the KV122. I hate this vehicle. Main reason being, it's likely going to be sold for nostalgia. Basically, it looks a lot like a KV1S, but it's at tier 7. And there are adjustments to the tier 7 version as opposed to tier 6. So the stats are slightly different, but stuff like terrain resistance, gun handling, almost the same as the KV1S. I have to recheck the older versions or older tank reviews of my channel to confirm with the stats, because they removed the KV1S from Tank Inspector from the actual files. But stats wise, it's very similar to the old KV1S at tier 6. So this is basically going to be sold for nostalgia purposes. So it's like Goosebumps. So sly sons of bitches. I see what you do. I see how you work. I'm onto you guys. Alright, next up is the Moist Hen, the vehicle that a lot of players give me crap about for pronouncing wrong. Sons of bitches. The Mouse Chen, the Moist Hen, the little mouse. This vehicle is making a comeback, so it's going to be normal, surprisingly, or it was normal, so what the hell am I talking about? But it got rebalanced and returned. So it's likely going to happen with the VK101 Mammut for the normal slight mini branch to the mouse. So it's deviated from the Tiger P into the Mammut, into the Moist Hen, into the mouse. So a separate line of not playing the VK4502's Porsche versions. So very interesting. Now, what's the main difference from this version of the mini mouse or little mouse is it doesn't have the 150 millimeter that was on the previous version of this vehicle. So I mean, you already have the Type 4. So last year in February and April, a lot of players were playing the Moist Hen on the test server. I even have a video of it. But the main reason they removed it is because tier 7s have no hope of killing this thing. None whatsoever. I mean, you are buffing as of today, or as of current patch 9.16. You are buffing the Type 4, which is basically OP to not be killed by any tier 7. So might as well put back the motion. Might as well put the motion back. Just put the little mouse back. So fudge it. We already have the Type 4. Doesn't matter. So it didn't break the game. Let's put back the motion with 128mm. Okay, fine, whatever. And finally, we have the Chrysler K-Tank. So this was a design by Chrysler post World War II to counter IS-3s. Now it looks a lot like American version of a VK4502P OS-B. So I have the pictures coming up, but it's very interesting. There are 4 machine gun pods that's basically designed from B-29 Super Fortress. So they took the machine gun pods from a B-29 Super Fortress, they put it onto this tank. Looks crazy, but yeah, you'll see. So yeah, it has a lot of armor. It's a premium tier 8, so very fancy. And currently on the super test server, a lot of players or super testers said that the Chrysler K-Tank is more interesting than the Jumbo Pershing. So the Jumbo Pershing is slightly postponed than the Chrysler K, but we'll see in the future of which tank is favored. But both vehicles are heavy tanks, so Jumbo Pershing is a heavy, even though it's a medium, whatever. And we have 2 special vehicles on the console versions of World of Tanks. So they have the F224 AMX Chaffee, which is basically AMX 13's oscillating turret with a 75mm on a Chaffee chassis. So very special. Looks pretty. I like the Chaffee. I like the AMX. Put 2 things together, even better. So very cool and looks pretty unique. And we have a T-34-88. So it's a German 88mm KWK-36 L56, the short barrel, quote unquote, 88mm on a T-34. So it's dual training to German and Russian crews. So it's very special, and I want to see it. I want to see this vehicle, as well as the KV-1, the Panzerkampfwagen 752 or 756R, which is the German capture version of a KV-1. They mounted their 75mm, put a bigger cupola, and added more plates of armor at the front. So the German version of a KV-1, but dual purpose training, very cool. And here are the main buffs to the mouse on the super test server. So DPM got super boosted by almost or 25%. So insane. Insane, amazing boost to DPM. Shots per minute increased to 5.2 now. So with the gun rammer, that's like 5.7, something around there. Pretty cool. Accuracy is boosted by 0.2 almost. So very good. Aim time is down to 2 seconds. The gun's getting some love, a lot of love. So aim circle dispersion also gets boosted, so the gun's more deadly, and the mouse is just as OP now as Type 5. So very fun. Concealment also gets boosted by slightly, but yeah. So the possible new mini branch to the mouse is the VK3001P into the Tiger P into the Mammut into the Moist Hen into the mouse. Now, if they're going to rebalance and make the VK4502P OS-B more historically correct, then we could have a new candidate for the tier 9 spot to replace the Porsche version, the VK4502B B version, because this is basically super inaccurate. It has 200mm of armor with, yeah, like lower plate is also 200, and side armor is like 100 or 120. That's historically just inaccurate, super inaccurate. In reality, it should have 80 to 100mm at the front at best. So it's like doubled of normal. And here are some sample pictures. Now, I'm being swamped with the Swedes already, so I'll try to cover these vehicles as soon as possible for me, but I'm still very busy. But here is the Jumbo Pershing. So can you tell the difference between this vehicle and this vehicle? What's this vehicle? Name that vehicle. It's Pikachu. Nah, this is a stock turret T-32 with a 90mm. So this vehicle looks a lot like a stock T-32. Now armor-wise, it's not the same armor. So the turret is better than the stock turret on the T-32, but there are a few more weak spots, such as this rotor cyclone vent right here, whereas the T-32 doesn't have it. And the armor sloping should be a little bit better on the T-32. Needs to be confirmed, but whatever. So this is going to be a premium tier 8 American heavy tank, not a medium. I hope it's going to be a medium because that would be amazingly fun. So what's also special about this vehicle is currently it has APCR as default ammo with 230mm of pin. It has 10 degrees of gun depression. Hull armor is effective at 200mm. So about 200mm effective on the hull. And turret is about 250. So basically, this thing is like a T-32 with less alpha but more penetration by 30mm. So it's premium too. Just make this thing a freaking medium tank, guys. Come on. And here is the KV-122. You sons of bitches. So nostalgia purpose to sell this vehicle. It's going to be a premium tier 7 Russian heavy. Looks a lot like the tier 6 KV-85 with 122 D25T, but here is the old tier 6 KV-1S. The old tier 6 KV-1S has 1,500 DPM, whereas this version has 1,900, but it's a tier higher. Slight difference, but it looks a lot like this with a different gun barrel or muzzle brake. So, nostalgia. Selling based on nostalgia, you sons of bitches. And here is the moist head. So initially, this is the 150mm version with muzzle brake. So it's like the E100's gun on a mouse, but they rebalanced it. So here is the new moist head with 128. So, I mean, you already have the Type 4 and Type 5. So the kaijus are already here. So they did not break the system, mostly, quote unquote. So let's put the moisten back, put the little mouse back. And finally, let's finish off, whatever, with the Chrysler K. So this is the K tank designed by Chrysler. So it looks a lot like a rear-mounted turret of a VK4502P OS-B. It has 76.2mm of side armor, so side scraping is not as crazily good as the VK, but still pretty decent. It's tier 8. Frontal plate is about 200mm effective. Lower plate is thicker than the upper plate, so don't even think about shooting the lower plate. Turret is very bouncy, 250mm rounded. So it looks a lot like a Russian designed turret, hemispherical. But this is the K tank. It's only wooden models, so you can read all the descriptions I already posted. So there you go, folks. All the tanks in the works. So man, record keeping is a tough job, and research or resource digging or redigging, because I already researched most of these vehicles, is a pain. But there you go, folks. The summary of all the vehicles in the works. So we're likely going to see a few of these guys coming soon. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.